Are you fulfillment ready? And that is, are you primed for rapid growth or will your growth engine stall out and pause? If you're here, I assume you're an AI tech consulting SaaS firm and you're tired of relying on referrals, sick of feast or famine sales cycles. You just want to learn how to attract qualified, high intent prospects. And guess what? You're in the right place. My name is Terrence Branley. I am the co-founder of Grow IT Partners. I also host the Grow IT podcast. And all we talk about here on this channel is how you can grow your tech firm. So if that's you, hit the subscribe button. And with that, let's jump in. So are you fulfillment ready? We can go ahead and file this under good problems to have, right? And that is when the marketing arm of things is driving in ideal prospects that have, your ideal client profile, the very specific problem that you have a very specific solution to solve. All of a sudden, there are some firms that have this fulfillment issue, right? And I know it's one of those hard things to look at because they're like, clients are like, or prospects, even we talk to, are like, yeah, sure, that sounds great, right? We're gonna have too many clients, but it happens. Especially we see it a lot with IT consulting firms who, are leveraging human resources, people who are very, very specific in their area of expertise, and that becomes a bottleneck. It's typically why we've seen in the past few years, IT consulting firms have a challenge with growing their firms because they typically grow by referrals, word of mouth, et cetera. And there's always, and we talk about the feast or famine sales cycles. IT consulting firms are prime for that, right? Because it's like, hey, great, they'll get a ton of projects and they go hire people. And then all of a sudden, those projects end like, oh no, now what do I do? I have all these people on my bench. How do I deploy them, et cetera, right? And we're going to talk about this in terms of how it can be a good problem to have, but especially with our business model of running paid ads to get new clients. And where it can become a problem is, I'm going to point out where it typically isn't a problem is with SaaS firms, platforms, those, I'm trying to think of some other like AI ready solution type of firms, because if you have something where it's like you almost have an unlimited fulfillment capability, right? Which SaaS is a good example of it. You kind of build out the software side of it. And it's like, yeah, we could take on 100 clients. We could take on 1,000 clients. It becomes easier. If you have a fulfillment process or some part of it that can break down in that fulfillment, then this is the purpose of today's video. And I'm going to give you a specific example. Mike at Regal Century is one of our clients. Now, I will tell you, he came to us. He did not have an offer that was proven for cold market, for cold prospects. And again, I'm going to define that. Cold prospects are the don't know you, don't trust you, have no idea who you are. Completely different than referrals, warm referrals, or network leads that you've been used to in the past, which Mike was. We went through 6 different offer variations to create an offer that had market resonance out in the marketplace, aimed at, again, very specific ICP with a very specific problem, of which Mike had a very specific solution. And on the 6th offer that we tested, man, it was crushing, right? 6 to 7 deals in the first week. And all of a sudden, Mike came to us and said, hey, I think we got to pause the campaign. I'm not going to be able to fulfill all this, right? And so again, we can file this under good problems to have. If you're watching this, you're like, yeah, that's a problem I'd love to have. Great, it is. But I would just tell you that it is one of those things where, too, especially if it becomes a human resources related problem, that you're going to want to look at in advance. There's no doubt if you work with us, we're not going to take you on if you don't have the capability with a solution or a part of your service offering to do exactly this. Are we going to hit on the offer on the 6th try? It may be on the 1st try. It may be on the 2nd or 3rd. But you need to know this going in, that especially if you have, if there's a constraint in your fulfillment process, it's going to take 30, 45, 60 days. That's something that you might want to start working on in advance, right? Because when this does happen, there's nothing worse than having to turn the marketing spigot off. Because, marketing, it works, and then it may stop working, right? The offer may lose resonance in the future, right? It may not. Hopefully it doesn't. But the point being is that you want to kind of prepare for that as well on the fulfillment side. So I think I talked about this unlimited capacity. Let's go down here. Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're a SaaS platform, if you have built AI tools, if you have software licensing, things of that nature, obviously that scale automatically, this will be great. You don't have to worry about this side. Where you do have to be concerned if your, delivery involves some sort of consulting, custom development, especially, software dev, et cetera, high touch, then you're going to be limited by the personnel hours. And so again, it's something you want to look at in advance and start preparing for that. All right. Self-assessment. All right. So how much capacity do you currently have? The first question that you need to ask yourself before you do this with us is how many clients can you take on without hiring? If you're like, hey, I could probably only take on like maybe 1 or 2 clients, then I'm going to tell you, you're probably going to want to address the fulfillment side of things first before you do this, because the chances are in 60 days, we absolutely are going to be able to find a market resonance offer that's probably going to bring you more than 1 to 2 clients. Now, if your clients, if the value of one of those clients is $500,000, that may differ, right? That's a much longer sales cycle. But typically, we're talking about an initial deal size of what's called $0 to $50,000. In that case, if you can only take on 1 to 2 of those clients, then again, I would suggest you start looking at the fulfillment side of things, maybe even in conjunction with the ads campaign. Again, some of the things you probably know, especially IT consulting firms, you risk burnout from your team. You start piling on more work to your existing team members. But essentially, I think the good way to look at it, and again, it depends on the average deal size, but if we were to deliver 10 prospects to you, let's call it in 60 to 90 days, would that break your fulfillment side of things? Would you have to stop or seriously address some of those things on your side? Here's a good success story. So From Profit, one of our clients, they're an AI platform for attorneys to file, let's call them legal documents. And, within the first 30 days, bang, bang, they got 2 new clients. And we said to them, like, hey, are we good scaling this up? Because this is at this point, it's now a math problem. We kind of know from the number of cost per qualified meetings that we've got for you and how many clients, your close ratio, we can tell you that if you put this much in raising your daily ad spend, how many clients you're getting on the output side of things. But again, because they were a SaaS and AI platform, it was already built out. It was already specific. There wasn't much customization that was needed for each law firm. And so it literally was just cooking with gas. All right, what happens if you're not ready? I think you probably know all these things, right? Reputation damage, losing momentum. This is probably the biggest one. Losing momentum is probably the biggest thing, because in marketing, when you have something that's working, as Mike at Regal Century found, like, you just want to go. You're like, this has typically been the hardest thing for me in the past, is getting an offer that has market resonance, having new clients come in, and it's like, I want this to go. And that's probably the hardest things, when you got to pause things and then work on the fulfillment or constraint side of things. Losing momentum in the sales and marketing world is probably one of the toughest things. All right, so let's close this out. Is it a good problem to have? Yes, absolutely. Having too many clients is obviously a good problem to have. We just prepare our new clients for, don't get caught playing from behind. Assume this is going to work at some point. It may not work the first week. It may be week 5. It may be the 60th day. It may be we may have to go a week beyond that. But the point being is, if we take you on as a client, it absolutely is because we believe that you have a very specific solution for that very specific problem that has had by that very specific ICP, that ideal client profile. And therefore, you've got to go into this assuming, hey, what could potentially break if I do bring on, 2, 3, 5 clients a month, and plan ahead, both from a people standpoint and the system standpoint. And again, that's just preparing yourself for success. And really, once you have those metrics, it just becomes a math problem, and scaling your firm becomes much, much easier. But again, go ahead and just file this under one of the good problems to have. But again, we look forward to helping you get there. And if you've got specific questions, as always, let me know. Thanks for joining me on this video. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.